Here we have Chris, Ben, James, and Jesus for my informative speech. My name is Jackie West, and I'll be doing an informative speech on physician-assisted suicide. It seems that almost everyone knows someone or of someone who has died a very long and painful death. Physician-assisted suicide is a hard topic for most when the facts seem so unclear and unfamiliar. Today we're going to go over other countries that participate in physician-assisted suicide, what states participate in it in the United States, and how they got there. We're also going to go along with how they are regulated. On your first slide, you're going to see that Switzerland was the first country to participate in physician-assisted suicide back in 1940, followed by Oregon, which is the first state in the United States to participate back in 1994. Then comes Colombia in 1997, the Netherlands in 2002, and Belgium in 2002. And then comes the second state, Washington, in 2008. You're going to have Montana in 2009, which is only a court-regulated, England and Wales in 2010, Vermont in 2014, Quebec was the first province in Canada in 2015, California started its process in 2015, and then made it official in 2016. Also in 2016, Canada, the entire country went to physician-assisted suicide. Back in the early 90s, you had Dr. Harold Glucksberg and 4 other physicians with a nonprofit organization went to court on behalf of physician-assisted suicide. The court ruled against the appeal at the time. So then back in 1997, they went to court again to where Oregon passed the Death with Dignity Act. In 2008, Washington passed with a 57% ruling in favor of the physician-assisted suicide, or what they call death with dignity. In 2009, Montana passed this protection for the physicians who also participate in physician-assisted suicide. In Montana, you have to go through court to be able to have physician-assisted suicide done. In 2013, Vermont became the 4th state to pass physician-assisted suicide. Starting in October 2015, California signed into law the End of Life Open Act. And in March of 2016 is when the courts paved the way for them to be able to protect the physicians so they can participate in physician-assisted suicide. In January of 2013, it ruled that terminally ill patients who are mentally competent can request physician-assisted suicide, although in 2015 this was under court appeal for New Mexico. New Mexico at this time is not allowed to participate, although it did go through a trial run. So the 5 states you have in the United States who are able to participate in physician-assisted suicide are Oregon, Vermont, Washington, California, and Montana with court permission only. During those states, for Oregon, Washington, California, and Vermont, the statistics show that there was a significant difference in the amount of prescriptions that were wrote for patients to be able to take to commit the suicide from the physician were significantly smaller than people who actually did it. So say 100 people were given a prescription, only about 70 of those people actually took the prescription and actually ended their life. In those states, you don't have to go through court. Like I said, in Montana you do, and there's special guidelines for requesting physician-assisted suicide. Although it seems like an easy process, it's important to know that you cannot simply move to one of these 5 states and be granted this type of privilege, I guess you could say, in the state. So what you have to do is you have to become a resident of the state. You have to live there for a year. Once you become a resident of the state and you find a doctor who is willing to participate in physician-assisted suicide, it takes 3 requests to be able to have this physician-assisted suicide occur, or physician-assisted death, or what more people like to call it. So your first one has to be oral. You have to tell your doctor that you want to end your life, you don't want to do this anymore. 15 days later, you have to put it in writing. After the 15 days up, you have to put it in writing one more time. In the states, Oregon, Washington, and Vermont, physicians do not have to participate in this. There has to be a willing participant, and then any other medical personnel, so your nurses, your medical assistants, just regular physicians, do not have to participate. And in those states, you are required to be a DO or an MD to be able to write the prescription. If you're not, you can be prosecuted. It takes more than just being terminally ill. You have to be competent. You have to be able to say yourself that you want to do this. You can't have someone do it for you. You can't have a power of attorney. You have to be able to say it for yourself. The way it's worded in California is that your attending physician can do it, so it doesn't give detail whether you have to be an MD, a DO, or what level of practice that you have to have. This state also requires the 3 requests with the minimum of 15 days in between. In the state of California, as soon as that prescription is wrote and given to the patient, there has to be paperwork and a memorandum wrote up and sent to the Department of Health in California. If this is not documented, you can be prosecuted under law. So those are the 3 main topics that we went over today. Seeing physician-assisted suicide death known around the world, walking through the American history of assisted suicide death through 1997, seeing how some states were able to legalize physician-assisted suicide or physician-assisted death, and learning the details in these regulations and laws clears up many questions for who, what, where, why, and when. Physician-assisted suicide is a hard topic for most when the facts seem so unclear and unfamiliar. Having the facts on what physician-assisted suicide is and how regulated it is can hopefully help give you an insight on such a hard, heartfelt topic. Thank you.